The Central Asian Report is a program about the ongoing geopolitical trends and the panorama of the present-day realities in Central Asia.
Politics, economics and culture, events, trends and people. All this on one territory. Hello, you're watching the Central Asian Report in today's program. Tajikistan's Day of Independence, a road of 24 years. Islamic banking in Central Asia, expanding borders, strengthening trust. The faces of Central Asia, jazz, television and watches.
А прямо сейчас центральноазиатские новости.
And coming right up, news from Central Asia. Russia to write off Uzbekistan's debt. These are debt obligations that arose during the time of the dissolution of the Soviet Union and overdraft loans given to Uzbekistan by Russia in 1992-1993. The legislation on the ratification of the agreement entails writing off debt in the amount of almost $900 million. Uzbekistan will pay only $25 million and will waive its demands regarding the division of the USSR Diamond Fund. The president of Turkmenistan visits Kyrgyzstan for the first time. The presidents Almazbek Atambayev and Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov have signed a number of bilateral agreements in the spheres of education, science, culture and agriculture. By the way, cooperation between the two countries is developing at quite a dynamic pace. During the first 4 months of 2015, trade turnover of Kyrgyzstan and Turkmenistan has increased by 30%, reaching $3.3 million. Citizens of Kazakhstan will have the right to attend working sessions of the Cabinet of Ministers. The plan is to include this into the law on access to information. In addition, the law will include norms that will oblige state representatives to increase the transparency of their activities, and the portal Open Government will provide citizens with up to 70% of the information on the activity of central and local state authorities. On the 9th of September, for the 24th time, the Republic of Tajikistan celebrated its Independence Day. Our correspondent found out what achievements of the country were highlighted during these events and how Tajikistan is establishing relations with regional neighbors. For Tajikistan, the Day of Independence is one of the most important celebrations in the history of the country. If a number of independent post-Soviet states had a more peaceful course of development and establishment of their sovereignty, in Tajikistan, right after the country's gaining of independence, a civil war erupted, which lasted for 5 years. That is why establishment and preservation of peace is one of the most important achievements for the country. First of all, this is food security. Second is achievement of energy security. And third, getting out of the transport dead end. The first tangible results in the country's economy were seen with the commencement of a national economic program in 2007. Its priorities were set in line with the specificities of the country. We have adopted state programs on the further development of the textile industry. We have also adopted special state programs on the full consumption of cotton fiber. In order to achieve the main targets of this program, the country used the most diverse sources of investment. From 2007, the volume of public investments into various spheres of the industry increased by 4 times, and today its share is more than 25% of the total national budget. A substantial part of investment funds was channeled at the support of agriculture as well as food processing. Within the framework of the program of diversification of the agrarian sector, in the last 7 years, 12 large projects were realized on consumption of raw cotton and production of goods with high value added. This will create new job places, new capacities, new opportunities for exports of goods. This will also contribute to the growth of the country's economy. A Aside from these programs, today Tajikistan is realizing programs connected with infrastructural development. Large construction works are being conducted in the country. Roads, tunnels, and hydroelectric stations are being built. The results of the National Economic Program that was commenced in 2007 will be summarized at the end of this year. And from 2016, the country will continue its development within the framework of a long-term strategy that will run until 2030. Its main goal is to increase the share of finished products that will be competitive on international markets. The country puts high hopes on the realization of the strategy. Today, Tajikistan is an independent democratic state recognized by 117 countries of the world. It is a full-fledged member of the UN and a number of other international organizations. The country was established as an independent state. It has all the characteristics of an independent and sovereign state, which is probably the most important result. However, despite political and economic achievements that the country reached over the years of independence, it has to continually keep its national security in check. There is a threat from the neighboring Afghanistan, where the situation may get more tense with the withdrawal of NATO troops. We are at the brink of new, potentially large-scale conflicts. According to some experts, they may spread beyond the borders of the region. That is why today Tajikistan's CSTO partners are attempting, to the extent that it is possible, to render assistance within the framework of the program on infrastructural development of the Tajik-Afghan border. The country serves as a buffer in Central Asia between peace and war, between a potentially explosive territory and a zone of stability. And yet another day of independence celebrated by the country once again marked the special mission of Tajikistan in the entire region. Islamic banking is strengthening its positions in countries of Central Asia. Some experts believe that this financial instrument can be regarded as a way of linking the region with other Islamic countries. One way or another, there is a clear trend of promotion of Islamic financing in Central Asia. We analyze the factors of this trend.
Финансирование в Центральной Азии просматривается. Мы проанализировали факты, которые говорят об этом.
According to experts, Islamic financing has a powerful potential for growth. This is explained by the key aspect of Islamic principles: transparency of financial transactions and principles of the investment policy. By the way, bankers are not allowed to invest in potentially risky assets, including high-risk mortgages and futures. We do not finance stock exchange deals. Our goal is to finance the real production sector, the real sector of the economy and services. Thus, money should be directed at some concrete projects: construction, infrastructure, communication, services, everything but financial operations. Precisely due to this feature, Islamic banking remains quite resistant to crisis phenomena. This did not go unnoticed, and the banking sector started studying the experience of Islamic banking. Countries of Central Asia were not an exception to this. All the countries of the region are cooperating with the Islamic Development Bank and are realizing programs on the strengthening of the Islamic economic sector, some doing more, some less. For example, Kazakhstan was the first in the region to introduce changes into banking legislation. The country has already adopted 3 draft laws on Islamic financing. What I see in our legislation, very serious work was conducted using various resources, and the best practices were chosen. So overall, it was a very well conducted, high-quality work. Neighboring Central Asian countries are using Kazakhstan's experience. Thus, last year, an Islamic leasing company offering microfinancing services was established in Tajikistan. It has also received the support of the government. Concerning wide access and quality of offered instruments of Islamic financing, according to experts, Kyrgyzstan is a leader in the region in this respect. A leasing company and an Islamic bank with a wide selection of instruments operate in the country. This bank has been operating in the sector for the last 2.5–3 years. It offers a wide array of services in retail and for SMEs. All this work is being conducted with the participation of the Islamic Corporation for the Development of the Private Sector. The corporation has established a number of leasing companies in Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. Substantial success has been achieved in the promotion of Islamic financing in Uzbekistan as well.
скажем, такой особенной макроэкономической ситуации в Узбекистане, да, там.
Taking into account the macroeconomic situation in Uzbekistan, with the absence of a convertible local som, there are special conditions which allows the Islamic corporations establishments to compete for SMEs, to be in a competitive environment.
ICD для малого и среднего бизнеса достаточно находиться в конкурентной среде.
One way or another, Islamic financing is slowly but surely developing in Central Asia. In order to accelerate this process, experts recommend increasing awareness of the principles of Islamic banking among market participants. According to the assessment of sociologists, 50% of the population of the Central Asian region is familiar with these principles. Here an emphasis is put on the main idea of Islamic financing, that it is inseparable from the real sector of the economy. Understanding of this, alongside the social trend of declining usurious practices, establishes a strong platform for the development of Islamic financing in the region. The more people, the more professions, interests, and talents. And what if one person combines all of these traits? Then one would get quite an original personality of a jazz singer, TV host, collector, and as we found out, a clocksmith, Pyotr Sharipov. He lives and works in the southern city of Kazakhstan, Almaty. The stream of time has carried the Almaty resident Pyotr Sharipov through a number of hobbies and interests. A master of sports and fencing, with a mellow jazz timbre, sang in a duet with Barbara Streisand, was a host of a number of TV programs, and alongside collected and put together complex clock mechanisms, which is something that he still does to this day. The first alarm clock, Yantar, I assembled while still in school. And then I understood the basic principle of the mechanism of clocks and watches. 90% of the mechanical clocks that are brought for repairs have a Swiss anchor escapement, despite the fact that some are Gerard Perregaux watches, other Breguet, and other made in China. It is surprising, but the master himself does not wear a watch, but can analyze their details under a magnifying glass for hours, looking at the spindles, hubs, and springs. Without exaggeration, Pyotr Sharipov knows everything there is to know about them, whether these are old wall and long case clocks, which fill his workshop. These objects, which have witnessed the passing of eras with their look, scent, and vibrant strokes, create a special atmosphere that could only be found in a middle-aged craft stall.
Это самые старые часы, которые существуют у меня в коллекции. Эти часы примерно где-то.
This is the oldest watch that I have in my collection, approximately from 1750. It has wooden plates, and the gear wheels are installed into the wooden plates. But before the insertion of the gear wheels, in each wooden plate a hole is made into which a brace plug is inserted, which is called a bouchon, and inside are the wheels, the mechanisms of this watch. It's very old.
Который называется бушон. И вот в этих бушонах стоят как раз колеса, механизм этих часов. Очень старые.
The clocksmith collector has already lost count of his showpieces, but despite this, he regularly cleans, oils, and fixes thousands of these ticking mechanisms, and not one is left out, not the masterpieces of the Napoleon era, nor the Chinese fakes of famous brands. Watches are like people, they like to be taken care of, says the master. That is why when he's in a bad mood, he does not even dare to touch them in order not to damage anything.
Каждые 2-3 года они нуждаются в чистке.
Every 2 to 3 years they need to be cleaned and set. This is regarding more modern clocks. And if these are watches or clocks that are exposed to all elements, whether wall clocks or pocket watches, they're not resistant to water or dust, and therefore need to be cleaned much more often.
Они нуждаются в профилактике гораздо чаще.
Special instruments are required for the maintenance of all these ticking machines, which occupy just as much space in the workshop. There should always be dozens of screwdrivers, pliers, holders, and thousands of so-called openers at hand. It turns out that each watch or clock has its unique opening key, which is impossible to forge. Standing in the middle of his collection, Pyotr tells with special fondness about the rolling ball, which once belonged to an English playwright, William Congreve. This clock, instead of a pendulum, has a platform along which a steel ball slides. In the time span of 30 seconds, it rolls from one side to the other and hits the barbell. Then the plate turns over and the ball rolls back. And that's ad infinitum. Our hero relates this account like the stream of life, the rush of which we see and feel. But at the same time, he has no idea when and to which creative shores the ebbing flow of the stream may take this talented jazzman and clocksmith Pyotr Sharipov.
На этом все. Вы смотрели.
You were watching the Central Asian Report. Until next time on Kazakh TV.